Good morning and welcome to Kramer's Corner. It is Wednesday the 29th of November. This version is done from the home office, so I hope sound is okay. It's going to be a long one, so let's get cracking. A lot of stuff I have more overnight, but not on the US markets. They've been fairly quiet, ticking a little bit higher, but not really much. Still has room to test the 4,600 on S&P 500, but we could see a correction. As you can see, RSI is a little bit flat there, indicating the trend is weakening a little bit. Nasdaq bounced from 15,932 and is still in an uptrend, but the RSI also flat here, so we should see a little bit of correction, but again, the trend is your friend, and we could take higher, so a little bit wait and see mode here apparently. On the European markets, we have the EUROSTOXX here. This morning we can have a look at the EUROSTOXX 50 future and CFD opening a little bit higher, ticking higher here, and there's room up to 4,400 on the EUROSTOXX. DAX closed yesterday a little bit higher also, but we're still below the 16,060 level, and the future here is testing the 16,046 resistance at the moment, and we are very close to 786 for every retracement. We are in an uptrend, and we are likely to move higher. Maybe this correction was not that big. On the Amsterdam index, closed yesterday below the 763 resistance and support, and this morning we are trying again to see if we can get back above. Let's see, we have the Amsterdam CFD or the AX CFD and future 767 is the resistance for that one. That should be observed very close here the other day to test that, but being set back. We could be range bound here for a couple of days before we get a direction again, but the underlying trend is bullish. However, what is interesting is that there's divergence on the RSI, meaning that the uptrend is quite stretched and weakening. We see this peak here is lower than this one, whereas the peak up here was higher than this one. That is an imbalance in the market, and we should see AX sliding lower over the next few days. Belgium market was hammered quite significantly yesterday due to a biotech company with bad news. We bounced off the opening lows, and we this morning pre-market we are up a little bit, and we could move slightly higher. RSI in a bullish sentiment, and there's no divergence, so we should try to close this gap here from yesterday. I'm not quite sure we'll get there, but there's room up to 35 is 70 80 level where there's some resistance again, so it could also be called range bound here between in this area here between 3,400 and 35 and 80. CAC 40 very close to test the support at 7,200, trying to get back above the 200 moving average. Actually closed above just a tad yesterday. I think we will also see it moving a little bit sideways here. Bullish sentiment on the RSI and no divergence, indicating we could see higher levels. The future is also crawling a little bit higher, but there's strong resistance at 73.06. The Swiss market closed yesterday below the lower rising trend line here, but we are ticking higher here in pre-market. Let's see, here we have the SMIS, the Swiss 20 CFD, bouncing off the 55 moving average, but it is declining, so it is a little bit to the weaker side. We could see it sliding lower to 10,690 support area, but RSI is in a bullish sentiment. It needs to break below 40 to change that, and I don't think it will anytime soon. So we are in a bullish sentiment. There's no divergence. We should see higher levels on SMI and the Swiss 20. It will not be out of struggle. As you can see, the 200, the 155 moving average, they are all declining. So the underlying biased sentiment is a little bit to the weak side. Euro dollar broke higher overnight above the 109.65 resistance, and we can then remove this one. Then it's obsolete now. and it's moving higher. It has also cancelled the RSI divergence. So there is room now up to around 111, which is the 786 retracements in this rising trend here. The cable sterling dollar, very close to be testing 127.45 resistance, but is now at the 61.8 retracement at 127.20. And I think we will see a little bit of a setback, a struggle to break that level there, and we should see a little bit of a correction. But if we do close above 27.45, well, then there's room up to 129. But a little bit stressed at the moment. However, there's no divergence on the RSI, so we could move higher after a potential minor correction there. I would expect that scenario to play out. The dollar yen at a crossroad, I would say, hovering around the 147.32 support. As we speak, it is just above it, but it dipped below this morning, very close to the 38.2 retracement, 146.30. If we do close above, well, then we could see a bounce back towards 149. And then we will be caught in this range here between 147 and 149 3/4. But a close below, well, then there is potential down to 144.77, where there's some support lying around that level. But then we are also in a bearish trend. What is actually quite interesting is that RSI actually in a negative sentiment, indicating that we should move lower in dollar yen. Euro yen, also a little bit lower, but still in an uptrend. As I mentioned a couple of times before, we could see a correction down to the 61.8 retracement at 160.30, 20.30 level here, and the lower rising trend line. So I think it is in the cards. There's no divergence on the RSI, so the bias, underlying bias, is still bullish. Aussie yen, that was rejected at 98.55 twice, and now testing the lower rising trend line and the minor support at 97.67. I think we will see a sell-off down to around 96.82 support. Aussie dollar has been on the move also overnight. Well, overnight for me, probably not for you guys in Asia, but we are now above the 66 resistance level. We are above 200 moving average. We are in a bullish trend. There's no divergence on the RSI. We are likely to see higher levels on Aussie dollar in the coming days and weeks. There's room. Well, there's no strong resistance until around 69, but I don't think we'll go up there in a straight line. I think we could move up to around 68, and then we'll see a larger correction. On the dollar index, broke yesterday below 103, very close to the 61.8 retracement and 102.21. I think we will test that fairly shortly, and there's strong support at 101.62. We could dip down to that level there, but 61.8 and 102.21, I think we'll reach that fairly shortly. And if we have the other pairs, FX pairs moving as mentioned, well, then it looks fairly certain that we will get there. Of course, there's no certainties in the market, but RSI in a negative sentiment, no divergence, indicating we'll see lower low. Gold has also been on the move yesterday night and a little bit this morning. It reached almost 161.8 projection of this correction here, just below 2057, taking out 2050. There is still room up to the 2077-78 previous peak level there, but expect a little bit of a correction this morning, I would say, but still very nice strong uptrend at the moment. Silver also higher, testing the resistance at 25.24. Rejected at first take here. If it takes out that resistance, then we are looking at 26 and a change. And with the RSI above 60 in a bullish sentiment and no divergence, we should see higher levels in the silver also. Copper, at the moment, trading above the key strong resistance at 382.20. It did test here yesterday, very close to yesterday, but this morning we are opening above. If we do close above today, well, then there's room up to around 400. If we do close back below, well, then we could see a setback back towards the 375, 370. On the energy market, oil is still fairly sideways trading, so not much to say about that I haven't said the past few days. What is interesting, just to note that yesterday we saw forming a bullish engulfing like pattern here, a candle on the Henry Hub gas. It could have been due to some futures rollout. I know it's different on various platforms. Here we have rolled it, and it was sold off again, and now we are still back here in a likely downtrend. So we are below the 283 support. The Dutch gas in Europe is still sliding lower, despite we here in Northern Europe at least we are a little bit in a deep freezer. On the yield side, the US 10-year yield has broken below the 436 support level and is now in a confirmed downtrend, with potential down to around 4.10%. We have some support here around 4.07, and we have the 200 moving average that is giving some support around that level also. So it seems like we are sliding lower on the yields in the coming weeks towards a year end. All right, that's all for today. Busy day it's been, and it is a busy day it will be. So have a nice day and happy trading.